She ridiculed the human assigned to her. Until his hidden power changed everything, Lyra stood on the bridge of the starship Valkyrian, her long, sharp eyes scanning the holographic map projected in front of her. She had been assigned to lead a critical mission to investigate a derelict space station drifting near the edge of the Korath sector. The mission was dangerous, but Lyra welcomed danger. She thrived on challenges, especially when she could prove her superiority. Today, however, her commanding officer had added an unexpected element to her team: a human. Humans were known in the Galactic Empire as fragile, weak, and unpredictable. They were lucky to survive on their home planet, let alone participate in missions among superior alien species. And yet here he was. Alex stepped onto the bridge, his posture straight and calm. His brown eyes were steady, and he gave a polite nod to Lyra. He wore the standard mission uniform, slightly too large for his frame, but he carried himself with a quiet confidence that seemed almost unnatural for a human. Lyra's lips curled into a slight sneer. "This is your partner?" she asked the officer standing beside her. "A human. They can barely operate a basic transport ship. How do you expect him to survive in a derelict station filled with advanced alien technology?" "He has training, Lieutenant Lyra," the officer replied. "And he is assigned to assist you on this mission. That is the order." Lyra turned her attention to Alex. "Well, human," she said, her voice sharp, "I hope you are at least capable of following simple instructions. I cannot waste my time babysitting someone who is going to slow us down." Alex nodded calmly. "I will do my best to assist you, Lieutenant." There was no hesitation in his voice, no defensiveness. Only a quiet, steady tone that seemed to annoy Lyra even more. The bridge crew exchanged glances, some hiding smiles, others looking concerned. Humans were rare on missions like this, and most aliens expected them to fail quickly. Lyra, however, was determined to show that this human was a liability. She would make sure everyone saw it. The Valkyrian moved out of the starbase, gliding silently through the vacuum of space. Lyra piloted the ship expertly, weaving through asteroid fields and debris with practiced ease. Alex watched, taking mental notes, but he did not interfere. Hours passed in silence, broken only by Lyra's occasional comments. "Are you even capable of using the navigation console?" she asked once, her tone dripping with disdain. "I am learning," Alex replied, "but I am familiar with many systems and can assist if needed." Lyra's eyes narrowed. She did not need help. She wanted to make him fail. She wanted to see him stumble and prove what she already believed: humans were weak. As they approached the derelict station, the tension on the bridge grew. The station was massive, ancient, and drifting in silence. It had once been part of a lost civilization known for advanced technology and dangerous defense mechanisms. Many ships had tried to explore it, and few had returned. Lyra activated the scanning array, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. "The station is mostly intact," she said, "but there are strange energy readings. We must be careful. This is a dangerous mission." Alex leaned forward, studying the holographic display. "The readings are unusual," he said softly. "It looks like the station's power systems are partially active. Some areas may be unstable." Lyra scoffed. "Unstable? That is an understatement. I will handle this. You will follow my instructions." Alex nodded. "Understood." The Valkyrian slowly docked with the station, its magnetic clamps locking onto the hull. Lyra led the way, striding confidently through the airlock with Alex trailing behind. She glanced back at him and raised an eyebrow. "Stay close, human." "If you get lost, don't expect me to rescue you." Alex did not reply. He simply followed, moving with careful precision. Inside, the station was dark and silent. Dust floated in the low-gravity corridors, and the walls were lined with unfamiliar symbols and markings. Lyra's footsteps echoed as she moved ahead, scanning with her wrist device for threats. "This place is a ruin," she said, her voice sharp. "Nothing here should pose a challenge. If we survive the initial scan, the rest is simple." Alex observed quietly, noting every detail. He noticed the patterns in the energy readings and the faint glow from certain panels. There was something unusual about the station's power distribution, something the aliens had missed. As they moved deeper, a sudden alarm sounded. Red lights flashed, and the station's automated defense drones activated. They were small, agile, and armed with energy weapons. Lyra immediately sprang into action, firing her plasma rifle with precision. Drones exploded under her attacks, but more kept coming. She was fast and skilled, but the drones were relentless. Alex moved carefully, studying their behavior. He noticed that the drones responded to energy pulses in a certain pattern. With a small device from his pack, he emitted a signal that disrupted the drones' coordination. They began to malfunction, colliding with each other and falling to the floor. Lyra glanced at him, surprised. "What did you do?" she asked, her voice sharp but tinged with curiosity. "I analyzed their control signals," Alex said simply. "They are programmed to follow the strongest energy source. I use that to confuse them." Lyra's mouth opened, then closed. She quickly turned back to fight, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Perhaps this human was not as weak as she thought. They continued through the station, encountering more traps and hazards. Each time, Alex found subtle ways to neutralize the threats without drawing attention. He repaired damaged panels, rerouted energy flows, and avoided deadly traps that Lyra had almost triggered. At one point, they reached a massive chamber filled with strange machinery. Energy flowed through it in unpredictable patterns. Lyra moved ahead, attempting to interface with the system, but her attempts triggered a security protocol. A wall of energy surged toward her. Without hesitation, Alex stepped forward. Using a compact device, he redirected the energy, saving Lyra from certain injury. She barely had time to react before he moved aside, his calm expression unchanged. For the first time, Lyra hesitated. This human, he was not fragile. He was not weak, but what was he? How could someone so unassuming manipulate technology that had challenged the best alien engineers? I need to reassess our approach," Lyra admitted quietly, more to herself than to Alex. Alex nodded. "We can proceed carefully. I have noticed patterns in the system that may help us navigate safely." Lyra said nothing, her pride battling her curiosity. She would not admit that she was impressed. Not yet. They moved on, deeper into the station. The corridors twisted and turned, and the air grew colder. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, hinting at the station's ancient creators. Alex noticed a series of panels that seemed to form a map of the entire station. He pointed them out to Lyra. "These panels show the station's energy flow. If we follow them, we can avoid unstable areas." Lyra glanced at him, her lips pressing into a thin line. She did not need guidance, but she also did not dismiss it. Perhaps this human's knowledge could be useful if he survived long enough to show it. Hours passed as they explored, encountering more dangers, more traps, and more automated defenses. Each time, Alex quietly found solutions, always calm, always precise. Lyra could not deny it. He was making a difference. By the time they reached a large observation deck overlooking a massive void, the human had proven himself beyond a simple assistant. He had saved lives, avoided disasters, and navigated the station with intelligence and skill that Lyra had not expected. Lyra looked at him, her sharp eyes meeting his steady gaze. For the first time, she did not see weakness. She saw potential, a hidden strength she could not yet understand, but she would not admit it, not yet. Pride was not something she could let go of easily. Instead, she remained silent, letting the human's quiet competence speak for itself. Alex, as always, said nothing. He did not seek recognition. He did not flaunt his abilities. He simply did what needed to be done. As night fell across the observation deck, Lyra stood at the edge, looking out into the dark expanse of space. The stars stretched endlessly before her, and somewhere out there, unknown dangers awaited. The mission was far from over, and she knew it. But now, for the first time, she had a companion she could rely on, whether she wanted to admit it or not. And Alex, he was ready. He had hidden depths, powers that even the most skilled aliens could not fully grasp, and he would reveal them when the time was right. For now, they were a team, reluctant, uneasy, but necessary. The derelict station was only the beginning, and both of them knew that the real challenges were still out there, waiting in the cold, silent void of space. Lyra turned away from the stars and looked at Alex. There was still a long way to go. The mission would test them, push them, and perhaps change the way the galaxy viewed humans forever. And for the first time, Lyra felt a strange anticipation. Perhaps this human could change everything. The derelict station was quiet again, but the calm was only temporary. Lyra and Alex moved cautiously through the corridors, their footsteps echoing off the metallic walls. Red emergency lights flickered, casting long shadows that danced across broken panels and twisted metal. Every sound seemed amplified in the silence, making the human crew member appear even smaller against the vast structure. Lyra led the way, her sharp eyes scanning every corner. She had been in dangerous missions before, but this station felt different. The energy readings were strange, almost alive, and she could feel it under her feet as she walked. She glanced at Alex, who was carefully examining a cracked console. "You think you can make sense of that?" she asked, her voice sharp but not mocking this time. Alex looked up, his calm brown eyes meeting hers. "Possibly. The circuits are old, but they follow logical patterns. If I reroute the energy flow, it might stabilize this section." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "Do it then, but be quick. I do not want to waste time here." Alex moved to the console, his hands steady as he traced the damaged circuits. Sparks flew and a low hum filled the air as he rerouted the energy. Slowly, the lights brightened and the nearby doors unlocked. Lyra blinked, surprised. "You did that quickly." Alex nodded, returning to his quiet composure. "It was only a matter of understanding the system. Once you see the pattern, it becomes simple." Lyra gritted her teeth. She hated admitting it, but the human was capable. More than capable, he was exceptional. Still, she refused to let her pride show. They moved further into the station, their path taking them through narrow hallways and open chambers. Every few minutes, the station shifted slightly, as if it were alive, and Lyra's scanners picked up weak energy pulses that pulsed like a heartbeat. "This station is strange," she said. "It is not abandoned. Something is controlling it." Alex observed the readings, his mind calculating quietly. "It could be an artificial intelligence left behind by its creators. Its systems are old, but they are functional. It reacts to intruders." Lyra's eyes flicked to him. "You think it sees us as intruders?" "It seems likely," Alex said. "We must proceed carefully. Direct confrontation could trigger defenses." Lyra nodded, her pride mixed with a grudging respect. The human was cautious and clever, something she had underestimated. They entered a large chamber filled with broken machinery, wires hanging like vines. The hum of energy grew louder and strange symbols glowed on the walls. Lyra raised her rifle, moving to scan the area. Suddenly, a panel slid open, revealing a small group of defense drones. They were sleek, metallic, and armed with energy blades. Lyra fired first, her shots precise, but the drones moved quickly, dodging and countering with unexpected skill. Alex stepped forward. He pulled a small device from his pack and activated it. A soft pulse of energy emitted, disrupting the drones' coordination. They paused, then collided with each other, falling to the ground in a heap of metal. Lyra stared. "How are you doing that?" she demanded. "I analyzed their energy signature," Alex replied. "They respond to certain frequencies. A simple pulse can confuse their sensors." Lyra gritted her teeth. She had been preparing for a fight, and the human had solved it without breaking a sweat. The realization was frustrating. They moved deeper, encountering more traps. One room was filled with narrow corridors lined with energy barriers that shifted unpredictably. Lyra lunged forward, trying to pass through, but a barrier suddenly shifted, cutting off her path. Alex studied the pattern, then moved beside her. "Wait," he said calmly. "The barriers follow a cycle. Watch the timing and you can pass safely." Lyra hesitated, then followed his lead. Carefully, she moved through the corridor, avoiding the barriers. When they reached the other side, she looked at him with a mixture of disbelief and admiration. "You planned that?" she asked. Alex shrugged lightly. "It was a pattern, predictable if you watch closely." Lyra clenched her fists. She did not want to admit it, but he was right. Every obstacle they encountered, Alex had a solution, subtle but effective. He did not seek attention, and yet he was saving their mission at every turn. They reached a massive chamber where the station's core seemed to pulse with energy. The walls were lined with glowing panels, and the floor beneath them vibrated slightly. "This is the source," Lyra said. "If we can stabilize it, the entire station will be under control." Alex approached carefully, examining the energy flow. "The core is unstable," he said. "Any sudden interference could trigger a lockdown or worse." Lyra glanced at him. "You are suggesting we do nothing." "Not nothing," Alex replied. "We need to redirect the energy in small increments. Rushing could destroy the systems." Lyra hesitated, then nodded. For the first time, she allowed him to take the lead. Alex worked methodically, rerouting energy lines, adjusting flow rates, and monitoring the core's responses. Lyra watched, learning from his calm precision. Hours passed. The energy stabilized gradually, the hum of the core softening. Lyra allowed herself a rare moment of relief. "You are impressive," she admitted quietly. Alex looked at her, his calm expression unchanged. We are working as a team. Lyra turned away, pretending she had not heard. Pride was difficult to set aside, even when faced with undeniable talent. Suddenly, the station shuddered. An alarm sounded, red lights flashing across the chamber. The core's energy surged unexpectedly, and a wall of energy shot toward them. Lyra raised her rifle, firing instinctively, but it was Alex who acted. He stepped forward, using a device to absorb and redirect the energy. A wave of light pulsed from his hands, stabilizing the core and saving Lyra from harm. She stared at him, her sharp eyes wide. "You saved me," Alex nodded. "We need to move before the system reacts again. There may be more defenses." Lyra did not argue. She followed him as they navigated through a series of corridors and chambers, each presenting new challenges. Broken machinery, shifting floors, and energy traps tested their skills, but Alex's calm, methodical approach kept them safe. As they reached another observation deck, Lyra finally spoke. "Human, I underestimated you." Alex did not respond, only continued to scan the area, noting patterns and potential dangers. Lyra's pride battled with her growing respect. She had spent her life believing humans were weak and inferior, yet here was one navigating a deadly station with intelligence, courage, and skill. The station seemed to sense their progress. Doors opened and closed unexpectedly, and energy pulses shifted around them. It was as if the entire structure was alive, testing intruders for worthiness. Lyra realized that the mission was more complex than she had imagined. It was not simply about exploration. It was about survival, understanding, and adaptation. And in this, Alex was proving to be invaluable. Hours turned into the ship's night cycle. The station was vast, and they had barely scratched the surface. Lyra and Alex paused in a chamber overlooking a massive void. The stars outside were distant, but the station's energy illuminated the space around them. Alex studied the patterns on the walls, tracing faint symbols with his fingers. "These markings are consistent," he said. "They are instructions left by the station's creators. If we follow them, we may reach the central control room safely." Lyra studied him carefully. She had been wrong to ridicule him. This human was not fragile. He was not simple. He was remarkable in ways she could not yet understand. But she could not admit it fully, not yet. Pride was too strong. Instead, she nodded silently, allowing him to guide the way. Together, they moved deeper into the station, their partnership growing, albeit quietly. Alex's hidden power was becoming more evident, though he remained humble and unassuming. Lyra's arrogance was slowly giving way to respect, though she refused to let anyone, including herself, notice. They encountered a final barrier for the night, a massive door with complex locks and energy pulses. Lyra studied it, trying to force it open, but the mechanisms were too advanced. Alex examined it carefully. "This is a puzzle," he said softly. "It is designed to test intelligence rather than strength. The pattern is logical, and it can be solved with patience." Lyra watched as he manipulated the locks, pressing panels in precise order. Lights flickered, the energy pulses shifted, and with a final click, the massive door slid open. Lyra could not hide her surprise. "You did that, calmly, without hesitation." Alex simply nodded. Sometimes calm observation is better than force. Lyra turned away, pretending she had not been impressed. Yet inside, she knew this human had changed everything. He was not a liability. He was an asset beyond what she had imagined. As they moved through the open door and deeper into the station, Lyra felt a strange anticipation. The mission was far from over and more challenges awaited. But now she had a partner she could trust, one who could see patterns, solve problems, and act when others could not. And Alex, he was ready for whatever came next. The derelict station, silent and ancient, seemed almost alive around them. It had tested intruders before, and it would test them again. But for the first time, Lyra felt that together they could face anything. As the lights flickered and the shadows danced, the human beside her moved with quiet confidence, hidden power, and steady determination. Lyra realized she would need to rethink everything she knew about humans, about strength, and about what it truly meant to be capable in a galaxy that underestimated them. The mission had begun, and already everything was changing. The deeper Lyra and Alex went into the station, the more it felt alive. Every hallway seemed to shift slightly, every chamber hummed with energy. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsating as if the station itself was aware of their presence. Lyra moved cautiously, her senses alert for any trap or attack. Alex walked beside her, his eyes calm and focused. He studied the symbols, the panels, and the faint energy currents in the air. He did not rush, and he did not panic. His quiet confidence made Lyra uneasy. She had always been used to being the smartest, the fastest, the one who solved problems first. And yet this human quietly outpaced her at every step. They entered a massive chamber. The walls were lined with translucent panels that shimmered with strange energy. At the center, floating above a raised platform, was a device that glowed with a soft blue light. The air around it seemed to vibrate with power. Lyra approached it carefully. "This must be the central control system," she said. "If we can access it, we can stabilize the entire station." Alex studied the device closely. "It is more than a control system," he said. "It is an artifact of advanced design. Its energy output is enormous. If we interact with it incorrectly, it could be dangerous." Lyra frowned. "Dangerous? That is why we are trained to handle it." She stepped forward, placing her hands on the platform. A surge of energy shot toward her and she stumbled back. Sparks danced across the floor. Alex reacted instantly. He placed his hands near the artifact and a soft wave of light emitted from his gloves. The energy pulse shifted, stabilizing the field. Lyra blinked, surprised. "How?" Alex did not answer immediately. He examined the artifact, running his fingers along the glowing surface. "It responds to specific patterns of energy," he explained. "It is intelligent in a way. It reacts to those who approach it." Lyra took a deep breath. She had faced dangerous technology before, but nothing like this. She had relied on brute force, precision, and skill, but Alex relied on observation, understanding, and subtle manipulation. He did not attack, he solved. They worked together, cautiously testing the artifact. Each time Lyra tried to manipulate it without thought, sparks flew and energy surged dangerously. Each time Alex guided the interaction, the device responded calmly, its glow steady. "You are extraordinary," Lyra said quietly, unable to hide her admiration completely. Alex shook his head. "I only observe and adapt. It is not extraordinary, it is necessary." Lyra did not argue. She was learning slowly that sometimes intelligence and patience were more powerful than strength and speed. She was also learning that humans were capable of more than she had ever imagined. As they continued, the station seemed to react to their progress. Walls shifted, opening new corridors. Panels lit up with symbols that seemed to guide them. The artifact pulsed, as if encouraging them forward. Suddenly, the room shook. A loud alarm echoed through the chamber. The artifact's energy surged violently. Panels around them flared with light, and a section of the floor collapsed, revealing a pit of swirling energy below. Lyra jumped back, firing her weapon at the floating panels to stabilize them. Sparks flew, and the room shook again. Alex did not panic. He moved quickly, adjusting his devices, rerouting the energy flow and stabilizing the artifact. A pulse of blue light shot from his hands, and the energy in the room calmed. The floor reformed, the panels glowed steadily, and the artifact's hum softened. Lyra stared at him. "You controlled that?" Alex nodded calmly. "It responds to balance, not force. Excess energy triggers instability. I merely guided it." Lyra felt a strange mix of frustration and awe. All her life, she had relied on her skill, her speed, and her strength. Yet here was a human who used calm observation and understanding to achieve results she could not match. They moved deeper into the station, following corridors that seemed to twist endlessly. The energy readings grew stronger, and the artifact's pulse became more intense. It was clear that they were approaching the heart of the station, where the ancient technology was concentrated. As they turned a corner, they encountered a new challenge. A massive doorway blocked their path, lined with energy locks that shimmered with blue light. Symbols similar to those they had seen before glowed along the frame. Lyra stepped forward, her hands ready to deactivate the locks. "This will be easy," she said. "Just another puzzle for me to solve." Alex watched carefully. "Do not rush," he warned. The symbols indicate multiple sequences. One mistake could trigger a defense protocol. Lyra frowned but stepped back. She watched as Alex examined the doorway. He traced the symbols with his fingers, observing the pattern of energy pulses. Slowly, methodically, he pressed panels in the correct sequence. The locks glowed brighter, then dimmed. A soft hum indicated the doorway had unlocked. Lyra could not hide her surprise. "How did you know that sequence?" she asked. Alex smiled slightly. "The pattern repeats. Observation is all that is needed." Lyra's pride battled with her growing respect. She had expected to solve this herself, to show the human's weakness. Instead, he had opened the door calmly and without error. They entered the next chamber, where the station's architecture became even more complex. Floating platforms hovered over a glowing pit, and energy beams crisscrossed the room in intricate patterns. Lyra carefully navigated the platforms, her rifle ready. Alex moved beside her, analyzing the beams. "The beams are a defensive measure," he explained. "They react to weight and motion. If we move slowly and follow the gaps, we can pass safely." Lyra gritted her teeth but followed his lead. Step by step, they crossed the platforms, avoiding the energy beams. Alex's guidance was precise, and Lyra found herself relying on his judgment more than her own instincts. When they reached the far side, they found a pedestal with a holographic display. The symbols glowed, showing complex diagrams of the station and its energy systems. Alex examined the display carefully. "This shows the central energy core," he said. "It is unstable and the station's defenses are reacting to any interference." Lyra looked at him, her sharp eyes narrowing. "You mean it will attack us if we touch it?" Alex shook his head. "Not if we understand it. It is intelligent, but it responds to calm interaction rather than force." Lyra stepped forward cautiously, studying the diagrams. "And you think you can manage it?" Alex nodded. "We must redirect the energy carefully. One wrong move could trigger a shutdown or worse." Lyra watched as he prepared his devices. He adjusted settings, traced energy flows, and tested circuits. Each action was deliberate, precise, and calm. Lyra could see the station responding to him, its energy stabilizing in his presence. Suddenly, a surge of energy shot from the core. Panels exploded and the room shook violently. Lyra fired her weapon at the floating debris, but Alex acted faster. He raised his hands, sending a pulse of energy that absorbed the surge and redirected it safely. Lyra stared at him, her pride and amazement colliding. "You saved us again," Alex nodded. "The station reacts to balance, not force. It tests those who enter. We must proceed carefully." Lyra realized that the human beside her had a power she could not yet understand. It was not strength or speed. It was intelligence, patience, and the ability to read patterns where others saw chaos. Together, they approached the central energy core. The artifact floated above it, glowing with a soft, blue light. Energy pulsed from it, connecting to the station like veins carrying life. Alex studied it carefully, adjusting his devices to match the artifact's energy. Slowly, the hum of the core softened. Panels stabilized, energy beams dimmed, and the station's defenses quieted. Lyra watched, her pride mixing with a reluctant respect. She had thought humans were weak, fragile, and unfit for space missions. Yet here was one who had mastered the station's ancient technology, navigated its dangers, and stabilized its energy. For the first time, she felt that the human beside her could be more than just a partner. He could change the course of the mission, and perhaps the way the galaxy viewed humans forever. The station was silent again, but the calm felt different now. It was not tense or dangerous. It was controlled, stable, and responsive. Alex had unlocked its potential not through force but through understanding. Lyra turned to him, her sharp eyes studying his calm expression. "You are remarkable," she said quietly. Alex smiled slightly. "We make a good team." Lyra did not reply immediately. Pride still held her tongue, but inside she knew the truth. This human had hidden power. Not just the ability to survive, but the ability to master what even the most advanced aliens could not. And she knew that the mission was far from over. There were still challenges ahead, dangers waiting in the shadows, and mysteries within the station that had yet to be revealed. But now, with Alex beside her, Lyra felt something she had never felt before on a mission: confidence. Not just in herself, but in the human she had once ridiculed. He was no longer a liability. He was a force. As they moved forward, deeper into the station, Lyra could not help but wonder, what other hidden powers did this human possess? And how would he continue to change everything she had ever believed about strength, skill, and the potential of humanity? The derelict station, silent and ancient, had tested many who came before them. But with Alex, they were no longer merely intruders. They were explorers, conquerors of challenges, and masters of a technology that even the most advanced aliens could barely understand. And the journey was only beginning. The derelict station had grown quiet after Alex had stabilized the artifact. Lyra moved cautiously, her steps echoing against the metallic floors. She had been wrong about humans. This one human, Alex, had proven his skill and intelligence beyond anything she had imagined. He was calm, clever, and precise, saving her life more than once. But the calm did not last long. Sensors on the Valkyrian blipped suddenly, signaling an incoming presence. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "We are not alone," she said, her voice tense. "Something is coming." Alex glanced at the readings. "Alien ships," he said quietly. "They are moving fast and they are targeting this station." Lyra's heart tightened. The derelict station might have been abandoned, but its location was strategic. If the aliens claimed the artifact, they could control its immense power. The mission would fail and countless lives could be lost. "We need to act fast," Lyra said. "Prepare the defenses. We cannot let them reach the core." Alex nodded, moving toward the artifact. He examined the energy currents, tracing the lines that connected it to the station's systems. "I can reinforce the shields temporarily," he said. "It will give us time to plan." Lyra watched as he worked quickly and efficiently. His hands moved with confidence, his mind calculating every possibility. The alien ships were closing in, but Alex's calm presence steadied the chaos around them. The first ship appeared outside the observation windows. Sleek, black, and menacing, it hovered near the station, firing pulses of energy that shook the walls. Lyra fired back, her plasma rifle slicing through the air. Sparks flew as the energy struck the station's hull. Alex did not panic. He activated a device that pulsed a counter-energy field, neutralizing some of the incoming fire. The walls of the station glowed as the energy flowed, absorbing and redirecting the attacks. Lyra's eyes widened. "You are holding them off?" she asked. Alex nodded. "For now. We must reach the core and stabilize it further. Only then can we use the station's systems to defend ourselves fully." Lyra realized the truth. This human was not just clever. He was strategic. He could see the bigger picture, anticipate threats, and act decisively. He was a force that no one had expected. They moved through the station, the alien attacks growing more intense. Drones and automated defense systems triggered in response to the intruders. Energy barriers activated, and panels shifted to create mazes of light and force fields. Lyra fired at drones, her movements precise and fast. Alex followed, not with a weapon, but with devices that disrupted the drones, sensors, and control systems. Time and again, he redirected energy, neutralized traps, and created safe paths. One alien drone managed to break through, heading straight for Lyra. She fired, but it dodged her shots and moved closer. Alex reacted instantly. A pulse of energy from his device sent the drone spinning into the wall, disabling it completely. Lyra could not hide her surprise. "You saved me again," she said. Alex nodded calmly. "Focus on the mission. There is no time to hesitate." They reached a massive chamber where the artifact floated above the central platform. The alien ships were outside now, preparing to dock. The station's energy pulsed violently, responding to the threat. Lyra turned to Alex. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice tense. Alex studied the artifact and the energy flows. "We can channel the station's power through the artifact," he said. "It will create a protective barrier and give us control over the defenses." Lyra nodded. "Do it, quickly." Alex worked methodically, connecting his devices to the artifact. Energy flowed around him, illuminating his figure in blue light. He traced the patterns of the station systems, adjusting flows, balancing power, and stabilizing the core. The alien ships fired again, but this time, their energy blasts were absorbed by the barrier forming around the station. Panels lit up, doors sealed, and drones aligned to defend. Lyra realized that Alex was using the station itself as a weapon. The aliens attempted to dock, but their efforts were met with precise energy pulses that forced them back. Lyra watched in awe as Alex's calm and skill turned the tide. The once abandoned station was now a fortress under his control. "Unbelievable," Lyra muttered. She had been trained to fight, to survive, to lead. Yet she could not match this human's ability to control and adapt. The alien ships launched a final attack, firing concentrated beams toward the core chamber. Lyra fired at the beams, but they were too strong. Alex reacted instantly. He raised his hands, directing the energy through the artifact. A wave of blue light shot out, neutralizing the attack and sending the alien ships reeling backward. The chamber trembled as the artifact glowed brighter than ever. Energy pulsed through the walls and floors, activating the station systems fully. Automated defenses aligned perfectly, and the alien threat was held at bay. Lyra felt a surge of relief and respect. She had been wrong to ridicule him. This human, quiet and unassuming, had not only saved her life but had mastered the station's defenses and turned a hopeless situation into a strategic advantage. Alex looked at her calmly. "The station is secure for now," he said, "but we cannot stop." "They may return with more ships," Lyra nodded. "Agreed. We need to stabilize the artifact completely and prepare for their next attack." They moved to the central platform. Alex traced the energy flows, aligning them perfectly with the artifact. Slowly, the blue light stabilized and the station's hum became steady. The alien ships outside hesitated, sensing the power shift. Lyra watched him, her respect growing with each passing moment. This human had hidden strength not in muscle, but in mind and skill. He had turned ridicule into awe, fear into hope. Suddenly, one of the alien ships breached the station's perimeter, firing directly at the chamber. Lyra fired instinctively, but the beam was too strong. Alex reacted in a heartbeat. He redirected the energy from the artifact, creating a shield that absorbed the attack and sent a pulse back toward the alien ship, disabling its weapons temporarily. Lyra could not believe what she was seeing. Time and again, he acted faster than anyone could expect. Calm, precise, and clever, not a single unnecessary move. The aliens, realizing their attacks were ineffective, attempted to retreat. Lyra and Alex watched as the ships pulled back, their threat neutralized for now. The station's defenses returned to normal and the artifact pulsed calmly, as if satisfied with their success. Lyra finally allowed herself a smile, though it was small and reluctant. "You are remarkable," she said quietly. Alex nodded. "We make a good team." Lyra turned away, trying to hide the truth. Pride had always been her shield, but she could not deny it. He had changed everything. She had ridiculed him, underestimated him, and yet here he was, saving her and mastering what even she could not. As they secured the chamber and reinforced the station systems, Lyra realized that the mission had become more than just exploration. It had become a lesson in trust, teamwork, and the hidden potential of humans. Alex's quiet confidence and skill had not only stabilized the station, but had also transformed Lyra's perception of him. She had learned that strength was not always visible, that courage could be quiet, and that intelligence could turn even the most dangerous situations into victory. The alien ships had retreated, but the battle was not over. The artifact's power was immense, and other forces would come seeking it. Lyra knew that with Alex beside her, they could face anything. He had proven that humans were capable of more than the galaxy believed. Together, they moved through the station, reinforcing defenses, stabilizing energy flows, and preparing for whatever challenge might come next. Lyra's respect for Alex had grown, though she refused to admit fully how much he had changed her perception. The derelict station, once a dangerous maze of traps and energy surges, now responded to their presence. The artifact glowed calmly, its energy flowing through the station and into their control. For the first time, the mission felt manageable. Lyra glanced at Alex. He was calm, focused, and precise, his quiet strength evident in every action. She realized that she had been wrong to underestimate him. He was no longer just her human partner. He was a leader, a protector, and a force to be reckoned with. As the stars outside the station glimmered, Lyra understood that the mission had changed more than just the station. It had changed her. She had ridiculed him, doubted him, and yet he had proven that humans could be extraordinary. And she knew that the next challenge would test them even more. But with Alex's hidden power, their skill, and their teamwork, they could face anything the galaxy threw at them. The derelict station, ancient and dangerous, had tested them both. But Alex had not only survived, he had mastered it. And Lyra knew that together they were unstoppable. The derelict station was quiet after the alien ships had retreated. Lyra and Alex stood in the central chamber, the artifact floating above the platform, glowing softly. The energy that had once been wild and dangerous now hummed steadily, responding to their careful control. For the first time since the mission began, Lyra allowed herself to take a deep breath. She looked at Alex, her sharp eyes observing him closely. He was calm, composed, and quietly confident. There was no arrogance in him, only focus. All the ridicule she had thrown at him, all the doubts she had harbored about his abilities, seemed foolish now. He had proven himself over and over, not with strength alone, but with intelligence, courage, and skill. Lyra finally spoke, her voice quiet but sincere. "I underestimated you, human." Alex glanced at her, his brown eyes steady. "You doubted me at first," he said simply. "But that is understandable. Humans are not often given credit for their abilities." Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. Pride made it hard to admit fully what she felt, but she could not ignore the truth. He had changed everything, her perception, the mission, and even the way she saw humanity. They moved to secure the artifact fully. Alex traced energy lines, adjusting flows, and connecting the station's systems with the artifact. Each step was deliberate and precise, stabilizing the station further. The hum of energy became steady and calm, and the platform's glow intensified. Suddenly, the sensors on the Valkyrian detected movement outside. More alien ships were approaching. Lyra's heart tightened, but she did not panic. She knew that with Alex's abilities, they could face them. "Prepare the defenses," Lyra said. "We will not let them take the artifact." Alex nodded. "I can channel the station's energy to create a protective field. It will give us time to counter any attack." Lyra watched as he connected devices to the artifact. Energy flowed around him in bright blue streams, illuminating his figure. The station itself seemed to respond to his presence, activating defensive drones, energy barriers, and automated turrets. The first alien ship fired, sending a concentrated beam toward the station. Lyra fired back instinctively, but Alex acted faster. He redirected the energy through the artifact, creating a shield that absorbed the attack and pushed a pulse back toward the ship. Sparks flew, and the alien ship shuddered under the force. Lyra realized that Alex was not only defending them but turning the station itself into a weapon. The artifact, under his control, amplified their power far beyond what she had imagined. More ships arrived, attempting to flank the station. Lyra and Alex worked seamlessly together. She moved through the corridors, disabling drones and setting up defense points, while Alex manipulated energy flows, controlling the station's systems with quiet precision. Time and again, he redirected attacks, stabilized panels, and neutralized traps that could have destroyed them. His calm, methodical approach contrasted with Lyra's direct, aggressive style, and together they formed a perfect team. The alien ships were relentless, but Alex anticipated their movements, predicting their attacks before they even happened. Each time the artifact pulsed with energy, guided by his steady hands and sharp mind. Lyra watched in awe as the station became almost alive under his control. Finally, the largest of the alien ships approached the core chamber directly, its weapons charged with destructive energy, ready to strike. Lyra fired at it with her plasma rifle, but the attack barely slowed it. Alex acted instantly. He raised his hands, sending a pulse through the artifact. A bright wave of energy shot out, enveloping the alien ship. The energy connected with the ship's systems, overloading them and disabling its weapons. Sparks flew across its hull, and it was forced to retreat. Lyra could not hide her amazement. How are you doing this?" she asked. Alex smiled slightly. "Observation, adaptation, and calm action. Force alone is not enough." Lyra shook her head, realizing the truth. She had ridiculed him, doubted him, and even laughed at his supposed weakness. But he had not only survived, he had mastered what even the most advanced aliens could not. The remaining ships retreated, sensing that their attacks were ineffective. The station was secure. The artifact glowed steadily, its energy harmonized with the station's systems. Lyra finally allowed herself to smile fully, a rare moment of genuine emotion. "You've done it," she said. "You saved this station, you saved all of us." Alex looked at her calmly. "We worked together, that is what mattered." Lyra felt a surge of respect and admiration. This human had changed everything. He had proven that strength was not just muscle, that courage was not just aggression, and that intelligence and calm determination could overcome even the greatest threats. As the crew of the Valkyrian regrouped, they marveled at the transformation of the station. What had once been a dangerous ruin was now a fortress, stabilized and defended by the combined skill of Lyra and Alex. Lyra approached Alex, her usual sharp demeanor softened by gratitude. "I misjudged you," she admitted. "Not just as a partner, but as a human. You are extraordinary." Alex shook his head. "I only did what was necessary. I did not seek recognition." Lyra's pride prevented her from admitting fully how much she had learned from him, but she felt it deeply. She had ridiculed him, underestimated him, and yet he had changed her perspective entirely. The artifact's glow pulsed gently, responding to their presence. Alex studied it carefully, ensuring that its energy remained stable. Lyra watched him, realizing that he had done more than survive. He had mastered the artifact, the station, and the mission itself. Hours later, the station was fully secured. Energy flows were stable, automated defenses were in place, and the artifact's power was safely contained. The alien ships had retreated far enough that they posed no immediate threat. Lyra turned to Alex, her sharp eyes softening. "You've proven yourself beyond any doubt." "I misjudged humans and I misjudged you," Alex nodded calmly. "Recognition is not necessary. Actions speak louder than words." Lyra smiled faintly. She had learned a lesson in humility, trust, and the hidden strength of humans. The mission was a success, and it was largely because of him. As they prepared to leave the station, Lyra reflected on how much things had changed. She had ridiculed him at the start, viewing him as weak and incapable. Now she knew the truth. Humans could be clever, brave, and capable of achieving greatness even in the face of overwhelming odds. The journey back to the Valkyrian was quiet but full of unspoken understanding. Lyra and Alex had formed a bond, forged through danger, challenge, and mutual respect. Back on the ship, the crew celebrated their success. Lyra, usually reserved and strict, allowed herself a small smile. She had learned something valuable, not just about the mission, but about perception, judgment, and the untapped potential of humanity. Alex remained humble, assisting where needed, always calm, always precise. He did not boast or seek praise. Yet everyone on the ship could see his worth, and none more clearly than Lyra. As the Valkyrian departed from the derelict station, Lyra stood at the observation window, looking out into the vast expanse of space. She knew that this mission had changed everything, not just the station, but the way she viewed humans, leadership, and strength itself. Alex joined her quietly. "The mission is complete," he said softly. Lyra turned to him, her sharp eyes meeting his steady gaze. "Yes," she replied, "and you changed everything. I will not forget that." He smiled faintly. "Then we continue forward. There are always more challenges ahead." Lyra nodded. For the first time, she did not feel alone. She had a partner she could trust, a human whose hidden power had saved them all, and a team that had learned to see beyond prejudice and fear. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and endless possibilities. Lyra knew that with Alex by her side, they could face anything. His intelligence, courage, and hidden strength had proven that humans were more than capable, more than underestimated. They were extraordinary. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Lyra realized something else. She had ridiculed him once, doubted him, and even scorned him. But now she could not imagine facing the galaxy without him. Alex had changed everything, and together they would continue to change the universe. The artifact's glow faded to a calm, steady light, a silent witness to the mission's success, and the hidden power of a human who had proven that strength comes in many forms. Lyra looked at Alex one last time before turning back to the observation window. "The galaxy may never see it coming," she said softly, "but humans, we are just getting started." Alex nodded quietly, his expression calm but resolute. "Then we move forward." The Valkyrian sailed into the endless expanse of stars, carrying with it a new understanding of what humans could achieve. And Lyra knew, with certainty, that this was only the beginning of a story that would change everything. The mission was complete, the station secured, and the artifact under control. But the lesson remained clear: never underestimate a human, and Lyra would never do so again.